On October the 15th, 1979, Luli Oswald, 55, a celebrated concert pianist, and a friend, Fauzi Milan, 25, were driving along the coast in northern Brazil near Rio de Janeiro to visit her daughter. Luli and Fauzi then saw a fleet of strange craft coming out of the water. She said that it resembled a mushroom with water spilling over it. They eventually reached her daughter's house, and after a short visit, they set off for home, intending to use the same highway back. Unfortunately, they missed a turn and found themselves back on the same road as they had come in on. Once they were back on track, they arrived at a small village, and the UFOs reappeared, rising from the ocean just a few hundred yards offshore. Fauzi counted about 10 objects, and as each object emerged from the water, it trailed a cascade of shiny droplets that sparkled in the air before falling back into the sea. Suddenly ahead of them was a huge black object, at least 100 meters across, with a dome on top. Luli then felt a strange sense of calm about the large object, but at the same time, the smaller objects made her feel uneasy. Then things started to escalate when the car began to shake violently, and Fauzi thought all the tires had blown at once, but found they were fine. They started to panic when the car doors, although locked, began to bang open and shut on their own. The vehicle was now out of control, swerving wildly across the road. Then two of the smaller UFOs came towards them with their lights blazing. Fauzi was now starting to become hysterical. Luli suggested they hide under the car, and neither could remember what happened next, only that they found themselves suddenly speeding down the highway through an intersection, forcing Fauzi to slam on the brakes. They then stopped at a gas station several miles down the road and discovered to their amazement that it was 2 a.m. in the morning. By their calculations, it should have been no later than 11:30 p.m. They had somehow lost hours of time, and they had no memory of where those hours had gone. The encounter had left them shaken, but the horror of that night was yet to be revealed. If you're enjoying this video, don't forget to hit like. It really helps to keep the channel growing. And if you're new here, subscribe and tap the bell icon so you never miss our latest videos. We've got lots of strange and fascinating stories coming up, and we'd love to have you along for the journey. Luli and Fauzi return home to continue their lives, hoping to put the events of that night behind them. News had gotten out of what they'd experienced that night, and they were visited by a Brazilian ufologist by the name of Irene Granchi, who had heard about their encounter and was eager to learn more about their ordeal. In January 1980, Irene arranged for an interview with Luli and Fauzi to help uncover what really happened that night. Irene suggested that Luli should undergo hypnosis with the help of Dr. Silvio Lago, who was a retired physician and experienced hypnotist. Whilst under, Luli's voice began to tremble as she began to recount her disturbing experience. She said that suddenly we were no longer on the mountain road, but were along the shore. Her eyes were now wide with fear. She then saw 3 twinkling lights moving closer and then back and forth, and then one big light in front of the car. The car began to back wildly, and Fauzi stepped out to check that the tires were okay. Mysteriously, they then found themselves suddenly back on the mountain road as if nothing had happened. Then Luli's voice dropped to a whisper as she continued. Then a beautiful black disc appeared, and she's now inside this big flying saucer. It's transparent, but not glass, and there are no people around, just the small ones, 3 of them, and they're guiding the big one, directing it with beams of light. Luli's breath quickened as she recalled the next moment. I felt sick and nauseated. Our car was seized by the top. The light from the small ones was holding us. We were prisoners. We screamed, but it didn't matter. We weren't on the ground anymore. That light had us in its grasp, and it was horrible. Tears now welled up in Luli's eyes as she relived the terror. They're pulling us in. We've entered the black disc from below, and we're inside it, Luli said. We're in an operating room, and we're no longer in the car. The car is in the UFO, but we're outside of it. Luli's sobbing intensified. They're inserting tubes everywhere and pulling my hair and crying out. Dr. Lago continued to ask questions. Who are they? They look like rats, and Luli gasped. Her voice is breaking with horror. Dr. Lager said, "How large are they?" "Their ears are like rats, huge and grotesque," as she struggled to describe them. "Their mouths are just slits, no teeth. They're filthy." "Do they have 2 legs? They stand like ducks with webbed feet, and they're touching me everywhere." "Do they have fingers?" Lily hesitated and then cried, "I don't know, maybe very thin arms." Her fear reached a peak and she let out a terrifying scream. "How tall are they?" "About the size of a child, maybe 13 years old. Their faces are like rats. There's no shape to their necks, just thin, rat-like faces." "How many of them?" "5. Their skin is sticky and grey. No clothes, more like animals, or maybe it's something covering them. Maybe masks. They could be wearing oxygen masks, but I don't see any tubes." Lily's terror grew as she recalled. They put Fauci on the table. He looks dead, completely lifeless on that cold marble-like slab, but it wasn't marble. They were using rays of light flashes on his head, and I could see it all. He asked, "Do you see any apparatuses around?" "Yes, tubes, but they're not using them only. There's lights coming from them." "Is there an instrument panel?" "Yes." "What does it look like?" "Like a planes panel, but with no clocks, only buttons." "Is there an operator?" "Not that I can see. Everything's black. I don't understand how I can see the panel. It's just black." "Where is Fauci?" "They left him. He's deathly white, naked now. They're messing with my ears, my nose. They made me sit and bend my head down. They're touching me everywhere, like a gynecological exam, but most of all my ears. They put something in my ears with a ray of light." "What does it smell like?" "Sulphur. It's suffocating. I can't breathe," she gasped, her breath catching in her throat. "What is the temperature?" "Normal, neither warm nor cold." "Are they talking to you?" "They don't speak. They just look at me and each other." "Well, how do they communicate?" "With their heads. One looks at the other and something happens. They just know. They understand each other." "Did they open your mouth?" "Yes, they put something in my throat, but it didn't bother me much. It was my left ear. I don't know what they did to my left ear." "Is there light around you?" "The panel was black, the rest like a phosphorescent glow." "Fauci wasn't even breathing then. They examined his head, shining around his crown, just like they did to me. I could see the lines like an electrocardiogram, but no needle. The rays were making the lines just like with me." "What else did they do to Fauci?" "He's still lying there naked." "Did they touch his sexual organs?" Leela shuddered. "Yes, but not at first. Only after they touched his head." "What are they looking at?" "He had sex with one of them. It was like a puppet. It was one of them lying on top of Fauci, like they've done this before." "What is the purpose of this?" "It's not for satisfaction, it's for research. Everything is for research. This is a nightmare, a terrible nightmare." "Is this very real to you?" Dr. Largo asked. "There is no reality here, but it happened. Which is even worse, but it happened. They are very interested in him because he's a young man with me. They only touch me some, but they're not interested. They want to send me back." "I don't interest them. The boy was nearly kept there for good." "Did they say that, or did you understand that?" "I felt that they wanted to keep him longer. We stayed there for 2 hours." Dr. Lago asked, "Why do you not remember this before?" Lily's voice cracked. "They cut it from me, like I was an animal. God help me. God help me now." "Why wouldn't they want you to remember?" "When I asked that, everything went black around me. I can't see anymore. They're telling me the memories are too violent. We're not ready for them." Lily paused, a shiver running through her before speaking again. "One of them was nice to me. He felt sorry for us, for those taken without reason." "Where do they come from?" "Some from the Antarctic, from Patagonia. There's a tunnel under the South Pole, a tunnel inside the Antarctic. The beings I saw are intraterrestrial. That's why they come from the water into a tube, another world. There's others from outside this group. They're evil, but one among them, he's good." "Why is he helping you?" "He said he was from another group, abducted by the evil ones, and he feels sorry for us." A strange calm then washed over Luli as she continued. "Now they're taking blood from Fauci's brain through a tube. I'm not afraid anymore. The blood is going back somehow through the same tube. When he returns to his arms, they examine him there. Luli's voice grew distant and detached all of a sudden. I'm dressed again. I don't know how we're back in the car. The car is still inside the UFO. Fauzi is in the driver's seat, but he looks dead. No reaction. There was a pause, then a soft whisper. Now we're no longer in the UFO. I don't know where we are, but we're on the road again. And just as we touch the road, Fauzi is awake, alert, and we're driving through the intersection. The session then ended and Dr. Lago brought Luli out of the trance. Dr. Lago was impressed by her report and felt it was sincere and she was telling the truth, and there was no doubt in his mind that she was not lying. Luli had several UFO sightings in the following years, but no encounters, and nothing like what happened the night of October the 15th, 1979. When the hypnosis session came to an end, Luli was left with more questions than answers. What were these beings? Why had they taken her? And what had they done to her and Fauzi during those lost hours? The encounter haunted Luli for years to come. A shadow that darkened her life in ways she could never have imagined. For someone who has spent her life creating beauty through music, this experience reverberated in her soul. The memory of those rat-like beings with their cold, emotionless faces and the inexplicable terror of that night became a burden she would carry with her for the rest of her life. The encounter was a reminder that there are things in this world and beyond that we may never fully understand. For Luli, it was a reminder that sometimes the most terrifying things are the ones we cannot explain. Over the years, Luli no longer wanted to talk about UFOs, but the experience had been a waking nightmare, a violation of her mind and body that left her shaken to her core. Luli died on the 2nd of January 2005 at the age of 78.